It was supposed to be just another night in Hollywood. We'd been planning it for weeks. Sophie, always the life of the party, insisted on trying that new rooftop bar. It'll be fun, she said, and it was. Till it wasn't. I remember her laughing, leaning into me as we walked down the bustling streets, the neon lights of Hollywood Boulevard casting a vibrant glow on everything. She looked stunning in that black dress. I could barely take my eyes off her. Sophie had this way of making everything feel magical, like she was the center of my world, and that's all that mattered. But then, she was gone. One minute, she was there right by my side. The next, she wasn't. I turned around to grab her hand, but she wasn't standing next to me. Her phone buzzed in my pocket, and I answered it without thinking, expecting to hear her voice. But it wasn't her. It was a stranger. "She's gone," the voice said, and the line went dead. I froze. I was still standing on that same street, surrounded by hundreds of people, but it felt like I was the only one there. I called out for Sophie. I searched every corner of that street, my heart pounding in my chest. I ran down the block, back and forth, but there was nothing. No sign of her. I pulled out my phone, scanning the messages. The missed calls, anything that might explain why she'd just vanished. The night felt like it was stretching into infinity, each passing second heavy with the weight of uncertainty. I stayed out there for hours, my legs numb, my mind racing. Did she leave on purpose? Was something wrong? Maybe she'd gotten into trouble. Maybe no, I couldn't think like that. Sophie wouldn't just leave, not without saying goodbye, not like this. When I finally made my way home, the silence was unbearable. It felt wrong, as if I was walking through a dream that had turned into a nightmare. I tried to call her over and over, but there was no answer, no message, explanation. The next few days blurred together. I sat by my phone, hoping for a message, an explanation, anything. My mind ran through every possible scenario. Had she been kidnapped? Had something happened to her? Was she angry with me? But nothing made sense. There were no answers. It's only questions that dug deeper with every passing hour. By the time a week had gone by, I was starting to lose hope. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My mind couldn't focus on anything else but the thought of Sophie, her smile. The way she'd hold my hand when we walked together, how she'd laugh at the stupidest jokes. All of it felt like it was slipping away. I was lost. I couldn't stop myself from thinking the worst. What if she was gone forever? What if I never saw her again? Was this my fault? Had I missed some sign? Something I should have seen coming? I couldn't stand the feeling of emptiness that gnawed at me, but it was all I knew now. Sophie was gone, and all I had left were fragments of her memories of a time that felt too perfect to be real. Days turned into weeks, and the spiral continued. I walked through life, numb to everything. Felt like the world was moving around me, and I was just stuck. I tried to keep up with work, but my mind wasn't there. I couldn't stop thinking about Sophie. Where was she? Why did she leave? Was it my fault? I was drowning in the uncertainty. The hurt kept growing, and all I could do was stare at the phone that no longer buzzed with her texts, her calls. Nothing. I didn't know what to do anymore. I was alone. It's been 2 weeks since Sophie disappeared. 2 weeks of unanswered calls, missed texts, in an empty apartment. 2 weeks of me pretending that I'm okay when every part of me is falling apart. I sit at my desk, staring at the screen, but my mind isn't there. It hasn't been for days. The only thing I can focus on is the quiet buzz of my phone, a constant reminder that I'm waiting for something that might never come. Every time it rings, I hope it's her, but it's never her. It's always a bill, a spam call, or some random notification. I'm starting to hate my phone. I throw it on the bed and close my eyes, trying to force myself to sleep, but it doesn't work. A knock on my door pulls me out of my thoughts. I rub my eyes and get up slowly, knowing exactly who it is before I even open the door. "Hey man," Jacob says, standing in the doorway. "Are you okay?" I don't answer immediately. I can't. How do I explain this? How do I tell him that I'm dying inside but still pretending I'm fine? That every morning I wake up and the first thing I think about is Sophie, where she is okay, where she is, why she left. "James." Jacob's voice snaps me back to reality. "I'm fine," I lie, stepping aside to let him in. I sit on the couch and bury my face in my hands. I don't know what to do anymore, Jake. It feels like she just vanished. I get it, man, Jacob says, sitting next to me. But you've got to stop holding on to this idea that she's coming back. She's not. It's been 2 weeks. If she wanted to come back, she would have by now. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I can't just forget about her. I can't let go. My voice cracks as I say it, and I hate myself for sounding weak. I'm not saying you should forget about her, Jacob says, his tone softening. But you can't keep doing this to yourself. You're not living, man. You're just existing. I shake my head, anger flaring up inside me. You don't get it. You don't know what it's like to feel like this. To not know what happened, where she is, why she left. How am I supposed to just move on? Jacob doesn't say anything for a moment. He just looks at me, his eyes filled with pity. You need to start living again, James. For yourself. This isn't healthy. I stand up suddenly, pacing around the room. I don't want to hear it, Jake. You don't know what it's like. Every day, I wake up thinking I'll hear from her. Every night, I go to bed hoping she'll be there, but she's not. I don't know how to fix that. Jacob stands up too, his voice a little sharper now. Can't fix it. You have to let go, James. You have to start moving forward. You're not going to find peace by holding on to the past. It's just hurting you. I turn to face him, my chest tight with emotion. I don't know if I can. Every time I think about moving on, it feels like I'm betraying her. Jacob steps closer, his expression softening. You're not betraying her. You're trying to heal. If she ever comes back, that's a decision she'll have to make. You can't just keep waiting for her. You've got to start living for you. Want to argue, to tell him he doesn't understand, but I don't. Instead, I sit back down, the weight of his words sinking in. I don't know if I can do it, I whisper, my voice barely audible. I don't know if I can let go. Jacob sits beside me again. I know it's hard, man, but you're not alone in this. I'm here, and I won't let you just disappear into this darkness. The silence between us stretches on, thick and heavy, but something shifts. Maybe it's Jacob's words, or maybe it's the reality that Sophie's not coming back. Whatever it is, I know I can't stay here forever. I can't keep clinging to hope that she'll return when there's nothing left to hold on to, but letting go. It feels like I'm losing part of myself, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. I stand up again, looking out the window at the city below. I'll try, Jake. I'll try to move on. Jacob claps me on the shoulder. That's all I'm asking. One step at a time. I nod, though I don't know if I believe it yet. Moving on feels impossible, but maybe. Maybe it's the only way to stop myself from breaking. That's all I can hope for right now, just to stop breaking. It's been months since Sophie disappeared, and my life has become a routine of emptiness. Every day feels like I'm walking through fog, trying to hold on to something that's slipping away. I still don't know what happened to her, why she left, or where she went. The questions pile up, suffocating me in a way I can't escape. But tonight something changed. It was just past midnight when my phone buzzed. I looked at the screen expecting another spam message or a random call. But this one was different. I know where she is. Call me if you want to find out. The message was from an unknown number, and the words hit me like a punch to the gut. Sophie, was this some kind of sick joke? My heart raced as I quickly typed out a response. Who is this? What do you know about Sophie? I waited. My hands trembled, the phone almost slipping from my grip as I stared at the screen, waiting for a reply. Seconds passed, then minutes. The uncertainty gnawed at me. I wanted to scream at the phone, demand answers, but I couldn't. My mind kept racing. What if it was real? What if this person knew where she was? I sat there, my mind spinning, replaying everything. Sophie's face, the way she laughed, the feeling of her hand in mine. And then the blank space where she should have been, the gaping hole that I couldn't fill. I should have known something was wrong. I should have seen the signs, right? But what did it matter now? A second message came through. I can help. But you need to let go of your past first. Let go of my past. The words hit me harder than I expected. For the first time, I thought maybe it was time. Maybe I wasn't meant to find her. Maybe she had moved on, and I should do the same. I stared at the message, the weight of it settling on me. Could feel my chest tightening. This was it. It's the moment I'd been dreading. It's a choice between holding on to something that was already gone or moving on. I typed a response, my fingers slow as I thought through every word. What does letting go mean? There was a long pause. long enough for me to question whether I should even keep going, whether I should just delete the message and forget about it all. But then the phone buzzed again. You have to stop searching. Stop torturing yourself. She's not coming back. If you keep holding on, you'll never heal. I closed my eyes and leaned back against the couch. Silence in the room felt deafening. For the first time, I realized how much I'd been holding on to Sophie's absence, the idea of her, and how that had been all I had for so long. Without her, I felt like I was nothing. But now I was staring at the truth. I had been living in a lie, trapped by something that had long since ended. The phone buzzed again, but this time, I didn't look at it. I didn't need to. I knew what I had to do. I stood up, pacing across the room. This wasn't just about Sophie anymore. It was about me, about my life, about whether I wanted to keep living in the past or try to build something new. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew this. I couldn't keep waiting for someone who had left without a trace. Couldn't keep carrying that weight. I picked up my phone and with a deep breath, deleted the number. Then I threw the phone onto the couch, feeling the finality of it. It felt like I had let go of more than just Sophie. I had let go of all the pain, all the what-ifs, the confusion. It was time to heal. I walked to the window and looked out at the city below. The streets were quiet, the lights flickering in the distance. It felt like a fresh start, like the world was opening up for me again. In that moment, I realized letting go wasn't about forgetting. It was about accepting that some things just weren't meant to be. I didn't need Sophie's return to move forward. I just needed to start living again. For myself. I turned away from the window, my heart lighter than it had been in months. I was done searching, done holding on. It was time to heal. I'd almost forgotten what it felt like to smile without it being forced. Months had passed since I made the decision to move on, to stop waiting for Sophie. I threw myself into my work, and it helped. I'd built a routine, something stable. I spent time with Tessa just as friends at first, but something shifted. Slowly I started to feel like myself again. Could almost believe I was over her. Almost. It was a Tuesday when everything changed. I was sitting at the coffee shop, tapping away at my laptop when Tessa slid into the seat across from me. She smiled, but there was something about the way her eyes lingered on me that made me pause. "Hey," she said, her voice soft. "You okay?" I frowned. "Yeah, why?" She hesitated. "I think you need to see something." I raised an eyebrow as she handed me her phone. "What is it?" She just let me look at the screen. The headline read, "Missing woman found Sophie Harris returns to Hollywood after disappearance." I blinked, my chest tightening. "What?" Tessa nodded, her expression unreadable. "She's back." I couldn't speak. The world seemed to blur around me, the noises of the cafe fading. Sophie. She was alive. But why? What happened? My mind was racing, my heart pounding in my chest as I stared at the photo of her standing outside a police station. The article mentioned that Sophie claimed she'd been kidnapped. She'd been held hostage for months, unable to contact anyone. But as I read the words, my mind rebelled. Could I believe this? Was it possible? Are you sure this is real?" I finally managed to ask, my voice shaky. Tessa's eyes softened. "I'm not sure, but I thought you should know." I didn't respond. I couldn't. I just stared at the phone, trying to make sense of it all. Sophie, my Sophie, was back, and she was saying it was all a misunderstanding. How could I even begin to process this? I'd spent so many nights wondering what happened, why she left, and now she was back with some impossible story. I had moved on. I thought I was done. "You should go see her," Tessa said quietly, breaking through my thoughts. "I know you're confused, but you deserve to know the truth." I shook my head. "I don't know if I can. You'll never know unless you hear her out," Tessa pressed. "You don't have to forgive her, James. But you owe it to yourself to find out what happened." Her words hung in the air, but they didn't make it easier. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about Sophie's return. It was about everything I had built since she disappeared. I had moved on. I had closed the door. I had finally let go of the hope that she'd come back and save me from this loneliness. That door was cracked open, and everything I had worked for felt like it might collapse. "I can't just drop everything," I muttered, feeling a knot tighten in my chest. What if this is all some kind of game? Tessa leaned forward. "You don't have to decide right now. But don't let fear keep you from getting the answers you need." I stared at the phone. the image of Sophie burning into my mind. I wasn't ready for this. Not yet. It got deep down. I knew she wasn't going to leave me alone. I wasn't sure what was true anymore, and I didn't know if I could trust her words. But I had to face her. For better or worse, this wasn't over. I stood up abruptly, my hands trembling. I'll go. I have to know what she's really been through. Tessa's gaze softened, and she stood with me. Just take care of yourself, okay? I nodded, though the uncertainty gnawed at me. The thought of seeing Sophie again was like stepping into a whirlwind. I didn't know if I was ready to reopen the door I had so carefully shut, but I didn't have a choice. The questions were too much. Sophie's return, her explanation, her story was something I couldn't ignore. I left the coffee shop, my mind heavy with the weight of the decision. My heart was pounding, my emotions tangled in a mess of confusion, anger, and old pain. What would I find when I saw her? Was this really the Sophie I knew, or someone else entirely? As I walked through the busy streets of Hollywood, the city seemed to close in on me. I had once walked these streets with Sophie, laughing, holding hands, believing we had a future. Everything felt different. Everything felt broken. I didn't know what would happen next. But one thing was certain: I had to face her. Whether the first was ready or not, I didn't know what I was expecting when I agreed to meet Sophie. But standing across from her in that dimly lit cafe, I could feel every inch of the old wound she had left behind. She looked the same beautiful, with that same infectious smile. Though there was something about her eyes that didn't sit right. They seemed ... guarded. I know this must be hard, she said, her voice shaking slightly. But I need you to understand. I never meant to hurt you. I swallowed hard, fighting the emotions that surged through me. You disappeared, Sophie. For months. Without a word. Why the hell am I supposed to just pretend none of that happened? She looked down, nervously fidgeting with the cup in front of her. I was taken. I didn't have a choice. They wouldn't let me call you or tell anyone where I was. You have to believe me. I clenched my fists under the table. Part of me wanted to believe her. But another part of me, the part that had been broken over and over by her absence, wasn't sure if I could anymore. Who took you? I asked, my voice cold. She hesitated, her gaze darting away. I don't know. They wore masks. Kept me locked up, I don't remember much. It's all a blur. I narrowed my eyes, a knot forming in my stomach. Something didn't add up. You don't remember? Really? She nodded, her face filled with what seemed like genuine regret. I swear, James, I didn't have control. I didn't want to leave you. I didn't choose this. I leaned back in my chair, trying to make sense of everything she was saying. The pieces weren't fitting together. If she'd been kidnapped, why hadn't there been any news? Why hadn't anyone reported it? How could she have vanished without a trace? And now, here she was, sitting across from me like nothing had happened. I've been thinking about this, I said, my voice steady but laced with doubt. You keep saying you were kidnapped, but I don't know. How does that explain your phone? Your stuff? How did you get away without anyone noticing? She froze for a second, and I saw it. The flicker of something in her eyes, something that made me question everything she had just said. I don't know, she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Maybe they erased everything. I don't know, James. You have to believe me. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But I couldn't ignore the doubts eating away at me. Something wasn't right. I had been the one left in the dark, suffering, and now she expected me to just take her word for it. Before I could say anything more, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it at first, but then it buzzed again, and I couldn't resist checking it. The message was from Tessa. Are you okay? I sighed, looking back up at Sophie. I wasn't sure what was going on inside me anymore. Part of me was still holding on to the idea that Sophie would come back and everything would be okay, but another part was waking up. I couldn't keep living in the shadows of a past I couldn't change. I need some space, I said, my voice quieter now. I'm not sure I believe you, Sophie. I need to figure out what's going on. Her eyes filled with tears. Please, James, don't give up on me. Please. The desperation in her voice tugged at something inside me, but I couldn't let it sway me, not this time. I don't know what to believe anymore, I muttered, standing up. I need answers, real answers, not just excuses. I walked out of the cafe without another word, Sophie's voice calling after me, but I didn't turn back. You couldn't. The truth was out there, but I didn't know if Sophie had it, or if I was just chasing shadows. I stepped into the cool evening air, pulling my jacket tighter around me. My phone buzzed again, and this time I didn't hesitate to answer. James. Tess's voice was soft but concerned. Are you all right? I exhaled slowly, rubbing my face. I don't know, Tess. I'm confused. Sophie says she was kidnapped, but I can't shake the feeling that something's off. I don't know if I can trust her. There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and I could hear her taking a breath before she spoke. James, you don't have to do this alone, she said, her voice gentle but firm. You deserve the truth. Don't let her story pull you back into that pain. I'm here for you, okay? I closed my eyes, letting her words sink in. Maybe I wasn't alone in this after all. Maybe I didn't have to carry the weight of all these unanswered questions on my own. Thanks, Tess, I whispered. I need to know what's real. I need to understand why she disappeared, if she's telling the truth or not. You'll find out. One way or another, she said softly. But don't let her destroy everything you've built. I nodded, even though I knew she couldn't see me. I won't. I can't. The phone call ended, and I was left standing in the cool night air, the weight of Sophie's return pressing down on me. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew this much. I wasn't going to let her or her lies control me again. I had to find the truth, no matter what it cost me. It's a strange thing, realizing you've been living in a lie. You think you know someone, but then, in an instant, you find out you don't know them at all. I wasn't prepared for it. I thought after everything maybe Sophie would come clean about why she left. But nothing could have prepared me for what she told me that day. I'd been avoiding her for weeks, trying to rebuild some semblance of normalcy. But Sophie kept showing up, calling, texting. I didn't respond, not because I hated her, but because I needed to know if I could trust her again. I needed space, but the more she reached out, the more I found myself drawn to her. Finally, I gave in. I agreed to meet her. She showed up at the cafe, looking just as beautiful as I remembered. But something about her felt off. She was tense, almost like she was waiting for something, waiting for me to react. Maybe. I sat across from her, the distance between us feeling like a mile. I don't even know where to begin, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't say anything, just stared at her, waiting for her to explain, to tell me the truth. Sophie, I started, my voice shaking. I've been asking myself why. Why you left. Why you vanished without a trace. And now, after everything, I need the truth. I need to know what really happened. Her eyes flickered with something I couldn't quite place, but then she took a deep breath and finally spoke. I wasn't kidnapped, James. I left because I had to. I blinked, my chest tightening. What? But you said I lied, she interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. Wasn't taken. I ran away. I didn't want to, but I had to. I was involved with someone else, James. Marcus. I couldn't live with what I was doing to you. I felt the world tilt beneath me. Marcus, my best friend's cousin? The guy I thought was my friend? My hands shook as I gripped the edge of the table. Marcus. Spat the name like it was poison. You were with him while you were with me? Sophie nodded, her eyes welling with tears. I didn't mean for it to happen. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted, and I thought I could just escape it all. I thought leaving would make it go away. I shook my head, anger rising in my chest. So you just vanished, Sophie. You couldn't even be honest with me. You left me to wonder if I was the one who messed everything up. You chose him over me, and then you just ran away from it all? I'm sorry, James. I am, she whispered, looking down at her hands. But I couldn't face you. I couldn't face what I'd done. Felt like I was drowning. I thought maybe if I disappeared, it would make it all go away. Her words sliced through me like a knife. All this time, I had been thinking she was a victim, thinking she was taken against her will. But the truth was so much worse. She had chosen this. Chosen him over me. You don't get to just disappear, Sophie, I said, my voice trembling with rage. You don't get to break my heart and think that saying sorry will fix everything. You ruined everything. Do you understand that? You, My voice cracked as the weight of it all hit me. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Don't touch me," I snapped, standing up. "Oh, you've already done enough damage." Sophie stood up too, her face crumpling with emotion. "James, please. I never wanted to hurt you. You have to believe me. I was a mess, and I didn't know how to fix it. I thought running away would give me the space I needed to figure things out." I stepped back, shaking my head in disbelief. "You thought running away would fix it? You ran away from me, from us. You tore us apart, Sophie. I trusted you." Tears streamed down her face as she reached for me again, but I couldn't look at her, couldn't let her touch me, not after everything. "I loved you," she said, her voice breaking. "I still do." I closed my eyes, the pain of her words hitting harder than I expected. Don't say that. You don't love me. If you did, you wouldn't have left me like this. You wouldn't have lied." "I was scared," she whispered, "scared of what I was becoming. I couldn't live with the guilt of hurting you. I felt like I was suffocating." The world around me blurred, and the anger that had been building inside me finally exploded. "You're sorry? You think sorry is enough? You think I'm just going to forgive you?" Sophie's voice was small, barely audible. "I don't expect you to forgive me, James, but I hope you'll understand that I never meant to hurt you." I took a step back, my chest tight with the weight of it all. "I don't know what to say to you anymore. I don't know who you are, Sophie. You're not the person I thought you were." She reached out again, but I shook my head, stepping away. "You don't get to come back into my life like this, not after everything." Sophie's face crumpled, and she broke down in front of me, but I couldn't find it in me to comfort her. The truth was, I was done. I turned and walked out, the door slamming behind me, but it didn't matter. Sophie had shattered everything we had, and now there was no going back. I didn't need to do anything. The truth was, I didn't have to lift a finger to make sure Sophie faced the consequences of her actions. She was already paying the price. It started with Marcus. His name began popping up everywhere, whispers in the hallways at work, rumors at the local bar, murmurs at social gatherings I used to attend. Sophie's secret relationship was no longer a secret, was public knowledge now. And it wasn't just Marcus. It seemed like Sophie had burned every bridge she'd ever had. Her friends didn't return her calls. Her family barely acknowledged her existence. I wasn't the only one who had been deceived. Everyone had been. And now, they were all turning their backs on her. I'd thought about confronting her, about telling her how I felt, how much her betrayal had destroyed me. But every time I thought about it, I realized something I didn't need to. Sophie was already unraveling. The fallout was happening without me. She had no one left. I heard from Jacob one evening, his voice tight with a mix of frustration and pity. "James, did you hear about Sophie? She's been dropped from her family's will. Her father cut ties with her completely, even her best friend gone. It's all over the news, man." I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the phone in my hand. It wasn't that I was happy to hear it, but a small part of me felt relief. There was no need for me to take revenge. Life had already done that for me. The next few weeks were like a slow-motion train wreck. Sophie's life collapsed under the weight of the lies she'd told, and I wasn't there to witness it. I didn't need to see it firsthand. The satisfaction of knowing she was facing the consequences of her actions, all on her own, was enough for me. "I didn't think I'd ever see the day," Jacob said one night as we sat at the bar, nursing our beers. "But here we are.
Always.
Sophie's the one left in the dust now. And you're moving on, man. I can see it. It's like a weight's been lifted off you." I wasn't sure what to say to that. I didn't feel entirely free yet. Not completely, but I could feel it. The weight wasn't as heavy as it had been. It wasn't gone. But it wasn't suffocating me anymore. She destroyed us, Jake. But I don't know, I said, my voice low. I'm starting to think maybe I'm better off without her. Jacob clapped me on the back, a grin spreading across his face. "I've been telling you that for months. You've just had to see it for yourself." The weeks went by, and I started to notice something else. My life wasn't falling apart anymore. I wasn't waiting for a message from Sophie. I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes, hoping for some sign of her. I wasn't drowning in thoughts of betrayal. Tessa and I had started talking more, and she had this way of making me feel like I wasn't just floating through life. She didn't push me. She didn't try to force me to talk about things I wasn't ready to. She simply let me be, but I could tell she cared. I felt myself opening up to her in ways I hadn't with anyone in a long time. It wasn't the same as the bond I had with Sophie, but it was something real, something that didn't come with the weight of betrayal. James, Tessa said one evening, as we sat on my couch, sharing a bottle of wine. I know it's not the same, but I can see you healing. You're not the person you were when I first met you. You're lighter. I chuckled, but there was a truth to what she said. I hadn't realized it until she pointed it out. I had changed. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't obsessing over the past. I feel it, I said, looking over at her. It's been a hell of a ride, but I'm starting to move on. I think I'm finally ready to let go of everything that's been holding me back. Tessa smiled, her eyes warm. I'm proud of you, James. I think you're going to be okay. Maybe I would be. Sophie's downfall had unfolded like a natural consequence, a reminder that karma was real. And as much as I had once dreamed of her suffering for what she did to me, I realized that I didn't need that. Her life was already a mess. I didn't need to add to it. The silence in the room wasn't awkward anymore. It felt like the space between us had changed too, like something had shifted. I wasn't stuck in the past anymore. I wasn't the guy who was always looking over his shoulder, wondering if Sophie would come back. I was the guy who was learning to let go. It's the guy who was finally ready to heal. And in that moment, I knew I didn't need revenge. I didn't need Sophie's apology. I didn't need any of it. I had finally taken control of my own life. For the first time in months, I smiled. I'd moved on. I felt lighter. For the first time in months, the weight of everything that had happened with Sophie wasn't bearing down on me. I could breathe again, wasn't constantly checking my phone, waiting for messages from her, hoping for some kind of closure that she could never give me. I had finally stopped living for the past. Sophie's life, on the other hand, had completely unraveled. I had heard through the grapevine, through Jacob, through social media, that she was alone and isolated, with no one left to turn to. Her family had cut ties with her completely. Her friends, the ones she had once been so close with, were now avoiding her. She had chosen this. She had chosen Marcus, and now all of it was falling apart. I wasn't gloating, wasn't taking any pleasure in her downfall, but there was a part of me that felt vindicated. I didn't need to seek revenge. Life had already taken care of that for me. And as her world crumbled, I felt no desire to reach out. I wasn't the one who had caused this. She had brought it upon herself. But me, I was moving forward. James, you're smiling, Tessa said one afternoon, as we sat at the park, the warm spring sun shining down on us. She nudged me with her elbow. Is that even possible? I laughed, but it wasn't forced. It was real. I don't know. I think I'm actually happy for the first time in a while. Good, she said, her eyes softening. You deserve that. It wasn't just that I was happy. It was more than that. For the first time in ages, I felt like I was in control of my own life. I was no longer waiting for someone else to fix my broken heart. I was fixing it myself. I had started picking up the things I had neglected: my painting, my writing. I spent my weekends hiking, something I had loved doing before everything with Sophie happened. I was rediscovering who I was, who I had been before she came into my life, and turned everything upside down. But more than anything, I was learning how to trust again myself, my instincts. And I was slowly learning to trust Tessa too. We had been spending more time together, just the two of us. It wasn't anything romantic yet, but I could feel something growing. We understood each other in a way I hadn't expected. You know, I said, taking a deep breath as I stared at the sky, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about moving forward, and I think you were right. I didn't need to wait for Sophie to come back. I didn't need her to fix anything for me. I've been doing it all along. Tessa smiled, her eyes lighting up. I think I'm ready for more, I said, meeting her gaze. More than just healing. I'm ready for something, ... new. She tilted her head, her expression warm. New, huh? Does that mean you're opening yourself up to the idea of something else? I nodded slowly, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Yeah, I think I am. The conversation shifted then, and the day passed by in a blur of shared laughter and easy conversation. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking about the changes I was making in my life, about the steps I was taking to move forward. Later that evening, I was sitting on the balcony of my apartment, looking out at the city lights, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Sophie. I didn't even hesitate. I didn't feel the need to open it. I knew what it would say. Apologies, excuses, more lies. I didn't care anymore. I turned off my phone and set it aside. I didn't need to hear from her. I didn't need her to apologize for the years of hurt she had caused. My life was finally my own again, and nothing from the past was going to change that. The next few weeks were a blur of new beginnings. I had a meeting at work that went well. I reconnected with old friends, and slowly but surely, I was rebuilding my life. I was starting to see the future in a new light, and for once, it didn't feel like I was walking on eggshells, waiting for something to go wrong. And then one day, Sophie's name popped up in the news. Another headline about her, this time about her completely isolating herself from everyone who used to be in her life. The consequences of her actions were clear. She was alone. Her world had come crashing down, just like I knew it would. But none of it mattered to me anymore. I wasn't part of her story anymore. And that was exactly how it was supposed to be. I didn't need to worry about her. I didn't need to keep watching her fall. I had let go. I was moving forward, and that was enough. I sit on the edge of the couch, staring at my phone. The screen lit up with Sophie's name. Again, it's been weeks since I last heard from her. Now she wants to reach out. I haven't looked at the message yet, but I don't need to. I already know what it says. More apologies, more excuses. More of her trying to pull me back into her mess. I can feel it in my bones. I turn the phone face down and take a deep breath. This isn't how I thought things would go. I thought I'd be angry forever, that I'd never let go of the bitterness. But here I am, at peace. And I'm not going to let her disturb that. It's strange, this feeling of freedom. Thought it would come with anger, with a desire to make her pay for everything she did to me, but it didn't. It came with something quieter, something deeper. I've spent too many years chasing shadows, running after someone who would never show up. It's time to stop. I pick up the phone again, tapping the screen to open her message. James, I know it's been a long time. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I need you to know that I'm truly sorry for what I did. I made so many mistakes. Please, can we talk? I need to explain. I blink, reading it again, trying to make sense of the words. They're empty, hollow. Not because I don't believe she's sorry, but because I've already moved past it. The apology comes too late. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't bring back the trust. It doesn't make the pain go away. I sit there for a few moments, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, but I don't reply. I don't need to. I've already said everything in my heart that needed to be said. I've already forgiven her, not because she deserves it, but because I deserve peace. I open the text window and start typing, my hands steady now, my mind clear. I've moved on, Sophie. I'm not angry anymore. But I can't go back to what we were. I've learned a lot about myself, and I can't keep living in the past. I'm sorry for everything, but this is where our story ends. I stop for a second, reading it over. There's no bitterness in my words. There's no anger, simply the truth. I hit send. I sit back, the weight that I didn't even realize I was carrying lifting off my shoulders. I haven't been this free in years. I thought it would be harder to let go, but I feel lighter than I've ever felt. Sophie isn't my burden anymore. Neither is the past. Tessa calls me that evening. Pick up on the first ring. Hey, James, she says softly. How are you doing? I'm good, I reply, a smile tugging at my lips. Is, actually, ... better than good. I feel like I can breathe for the first time in a long time. I'm so proud of you, she says, her voice full of warmth. I knew you could do it. I didn't know if I could, I admit, the vulnerability creeping in. But I've been thinking about everything we've talked about, and I think I'm finally ready to move forward. For real this time. No more looking back. That's amazing, she says, and I can hear the genuine happiness in her voice. You deserve all of this, James. All of it. I lean back in my chair, the sound of her voice filling me with a sense of calm. It's not just her. It's me, too. For the first time in a long while, I'm starting to feel like the man I used to be, like the man I can be. I've spent too long in the past holding on to something that wasn't real, I say quietly. But now I'm ready to build something that's real. With someone who sees me for who I am, not who they want me to be. Tessa doesn't say anything at first, but I can hear the smile in her voice when she speaks. I'm glad you're saying that, because I see you, James, and I'm proud of who you're becoming. I don't need to say anything more. I don't need her to say anything else. We both know what's happening, what's been happening for a while now. This is the beginning of something new, and for once I'm not scared of it. We've got a long way to go, I say, my voice firm now, but I'm not afraid anymore. I've let go of the past, and I'm ready for the future. She chuckles, and I can hear the sincerity in her voice. I'm ready for that future with you, James. We talk a little longer, but as the conversation winds down, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope for the future. For me, for us. The next morning, I wake up and look out the window. The sun is shining, and the world feels brighter. It's a new day. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own life again. I'm ready for whatever comes next.